Hello, everyone. Welcome on board. Tonight we have Ali with us. She will talk about very interesting topic. It's soft skills that usually we all forget about, especially after the pandemic. We are all about having a lot of work online and focusing on how to be good online and how to finalize everything and be on schedule and how to do the technical stuff, but we don't think a lot about the soft skills. We don't think a lot about how our employees are doing, working from home or working teleworking. So I think it's very important for all of us to have a reminder of what are the other skills that are required today and how we as SMEs, business owners, startups will be able to recover after the pandemic, will be able to come back to offices and to normal life, not even as a normal life in society, but also at work. Because we have very positive side from the working from home and teleworking, but from other side, we need to come back to real life and to come back to some skill that we forgot during the 2 years. So I think, Ali, we are all looking forward to have this presentation and this training and to have a refresh of the basic skills that we need in addition to the technical ones. So please go ahead, and we are all here to hear a lot from your experience and to hear more about what you suggest, your tips, your alerts for the SMEs, for the startups, and even for employees.
Okay, thank you so much. And hello, everybody. Hi. This is going to hopefully encourage you to interact because it's not going to be just a one way from me, I would like to hope. Excuse me. So I really encourage you to interact. My name is Alison Engelbrecht. I was the CEO for a Woman in Business for 17 years. I have just recently retired. From the 1st of July, I stepped down, which is quite sad because the Woman in Business has been my baby forever, but it's not, I'm not going to leave the business environment. I am still going to be around. And with that in mind, one of my biggest drives over the last 17 years has been enabling entrepreneurs. And enabling entrepreneurs is a matter of making entrepreneurs believe in themselves. And in order to believe in yourself, it's not just a matter of your bottom line profits, making sure that your business is successful. There's more to a successful business than just money. And it's about your brand. It's about your reputation. It's about what you leave behind and how you make your customers feel, how you make your employees feel, how you make your service providers feel. So with that in mind, let's start talking about what the soft skills are. So I've taken a couple of soft skills and let's go to the next one and looked at the most important ones. And I've picked up 6 of them. But the most important that affects and filters into all the other soft skills is that word empathy, which is quite often misinterpreted. Depending on the situation, empathy is often misconstrued as sympathy. So if somebody is offering you empathy, how do you know that it's empathy and not sympathy? How do you know that you are offering empathy rather than sympathy? So let's have a look. So I've tried to get this into the situation of being like a pencil. A pencil is made up of various parts, but unless they're all there, you cannot use that pencil to write. And it's the same in your business. Unless you've got all the skills, not just the technical skills, the IT skills, the business skills, you've also got to have the personality skills in which to enable your business to be successful. And on that note, let's dissect this pencil and break it down into its various parts. So I've taken 6. There's obviously a lot more soft skills in the entrepreneurial environment, but I've taken 6 of them and looked at them individually. But the core one in the middle is empathy. And that is going to be the main focus of today's conversation. But before we can start looking at empathy, let's just have a look at the things that build up to you as a business person, being a successful entrepreneur. And one of them is manners and etiquette. Sorry, let me just admit this person. All right. So let's have a look at manners and etiquette. Good manners open closed doors. And that is such a vital thing to have in the back of your mind, is that when you approach somebody, having good manners will encourage conversation. And after all, what is business? Business is a conversation where you offer a service or a product to people who would be happy to remunerate you. But are they going to be happy to remunerate you if your manners are not good? And in order to open those doors, you need to respect and understand different personalities. So something that you would perceive as good manners is maybe something that somebody else in another religion or another culture or language would think, oh no, that's a bit of a strange person. So always be aware of your manners. Always be aware of the person that you're speaking to, and general manners across the world that are acceptable is introduce yourself and the people that you're with. So if you walk into a room or you walk into a meeting or you are with a customer and one of your staff is with you, introduce yourself and also introduce the people with you. Immediately that opens up the conversation. Because if you don't introduce people, how does conversation start? There's like this spare person there. Does anybody want to say anything about manners and when you are starting off a conversation with something? Anybody got a good example they want to share with us where it was successful? Anybody want to share something that didn't work? Open the floor. Anybody want to contribute something about manners? Everybody's very quiet. You don't have to be quiet.
Hi, this is Maishwarya from India.
Hello.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Yes. See, it's a basic thing as a good manners, as you said, manners and etiquette. So in this, whether you're wishing the opposite person greeting of the day, whether it can be good morning or good afternoon, good evening, and asking how they are, okay, and how's the weather over there. So it's a basic initial conversation you can start with your opposite partner.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And yes, it's
Hello?
not just, yes, go ahead, please do.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. I want to say something there. I think manners, I guess it has a lot to do with the culture of a person or a people and the religion of the people. There was a day someone introduced me to another friend of his. The two of them were together. I stretched out my hands to have a handshake, and the man just snubbed me. I felt very bad because in the person's religion, they do not shake hands with women. I didn't know that. So I think
Yes.
in trying to exhibit manners, or what we define as good manners, is really tied to the culture and the religion of the people. Thank you.
Absolutely. Very true. Very true. And thank you for that. Which brings us to the second point, where etiquette. So when you are meeting new people, do a little bit of background research. If you have a potentially new customer, if you have a presentation to be doing to an audience like we're doing now, do a little bit of background checking. What are the etiquettes involved with the diversity of the people that you're going to be dealing with? Your customers might not necessarily come from your own country. They might be international customers. So just do a little bit of background as to the audience that you are facing, whether it be one person or whether it be a number of people. So manners and etiquette they work hand in hand. Together, they will give the impression that you care. And this is now leading on to the soft skills of empathy. When you care enough to do a background research as to the audience that you're going to be talking to, or your customer, or your service provider, or the potential customer, or the potential staff member, when you give the impression that you care, it opens up communication channels where the people feel more relaxed. They feel that they can then initiate conversation with you. There's interaction, there's collaboration. Any other comments before we move on to the next topic?
I just wanted to say hi.
Hi.
This is Brandy, and I just wanted to make a quick comment. I think sometimes people also determine how much how nice it should be to people based on their perception of the kind of authority or power these people have. Yeah, so I just wanted to say this also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And here in South Africa, we had the wonderful and great Nelson Mandela, who showed us that no matter your status or your label, or even when he was president of our country, he was an incredibly well-mannered man who always took into account the people around him. And for myself, I always look at the way in which he behaved. He came from an environment which was not, it didn't allow him, it allowed him to become mean and nasty, but he didn't. He retained his manners, he retained his etiquette. And for me, he was the epitome of the person who didn't use the power to get to the people. He cared enough. And I think manners and etiquette came through very strongly in his leadership. So yes, I agree with you, Brandy. Thank you very much for that. All right, let's go on to the next slide. And we talk about ethics versus something that's legal. And this often generates a lot of conversation, because what is ethical and what is legal? And legality is where it is prescribed by the law. So the law says this is right, that is wrong. Whereas ethics talk about your standards of right and wrong. So you could take something to court and it would be either deemed to be legal or illegal. But in a business, the way in which you behave, your ethical behavior towards your customers, towards your staff, towards your service providers, is what is going to earn you your brand reputation. People are going to want to deal with you on whatever level if you are ethical, if you treat people well. And we're going back to this whole thing about care again. If you treat people well and you treat everybody equitably, you are behaving in an ethical manner. Therefore, people are going to want to initiate conversations with you. They're going to want to initiate business with you. They're going to want to deal with you. Whereas people who are unethical, where they'll take bribes or they will push up their prices, you know, I think I've seen it happen where countries that rely on tourism for income, international tourists are charged a higher price than the local tourists. And for me personally, and you're more than welcome to disagree with me, that to charge a different price for a local tourist versus an international tourist, I think is incredibly wrong, because both the international tourist and the local tourist should be getting the same service, regardless of what money they're paying, whether they're paying in dollars or whether they're paying in rands. It makes no difference. The service is the service that is being offered. It has a value. Therefore, the same service should be offered at the same price. Anybody want to disagree or agree with me on an ethical note like that? Anybody want to offer an opinion of ethics in business and maybe give us an example of something where you've experienced unethical behavior? Okay. All right. All right. So yes, please go ahead. Brandy, you have your Brandy, you have your mic open.
Yeah, so I just had a question. So can we say that being ethical is being nice as a business?
You know what? It's treating people the same. It's not giving special treatment to one and not the same treatment to somebody else, for example. So if you offer a customer a discount, for example, on a product or on a service, and then your next customer walks in and says, please, may I also have a discount? And you say no, because you don't particularly like the way they dressed or the way that they walked into your shop. That is unethical behavior, to treat people differently and to treat people with disrespect. So what you do in your business for your customers should be the same for each customer. There shouldn't be a special treatment for one customer because perhaps they have a higher ranking in the hierarchy of wealth than somebody who is perhaps not as wealthy. So again, going back to the tourism industry, if you have a hotel or a restaurant where you are offering the local cuisine, when an American walks into your restaurant, don't charge them more than what you would charge your local customer, because that American is coming into your restaurant for an experience. Therefore, offer them that experience that even if they were a local, that they would receive. Talk to them about the environment that they're in. Talk to them about the food that you're preparing. Talk to them about the culture behind it, the history behind it. What is it about that your restaurant in the town that you are operating from? So treat everybody the same. And it goes with staff as well. If you have a lady that is there in a cleaning capacity versus a lady who is there in a management capacity, they should both be treated with the same respect. And it goes back to respect. It goes back to care. Both the lady who is the cleaning lady and the lady who is maybe in the management position, both breathe the same oxygen. So they should be treated in the same way. So it's ethical to treat people the same way. Don't give your management lady a 10% increase in staff and your cleaning lady only a 2% increase in staff. That is unethical. Any comment there?
So sorry, so then a very quick one again. So sometimes you have going back to treating our customers the same. I really don't know how practical this is in business, because sometimes you may want to maybe offer discounts to certain people based on how much they are spending and how much value you see that they are going to bring to your business. How do you marry that in terms of treating people in a preferential manner because you feel they bring you more value to your business, and then also just treating everybody nice as a business? Yeah.
In a business environment, you would obviously take a client who's going to purchase a lot from you. So for instance, let's say you're in the wholesale industry and you are selling items, thousands of the same items, and a client wants to take 1 million of those items. You would then obviously offer them a discount because they are buying from you in bulk versus somebody who is buying only 10 items. Your cost per unit reduces substantially when you are dealing in 1 million items versus, let's say, 10 items. So it's not that you are then going to be treating your customer who is buying 1 million items differentially from your customer who's only going to buy 10. What you are doing is that you are encouraging your customers, all of them, to purchase more from you, because if they purchase more from you, then there's a discount. So the customer who only purchases 10 can only afford 10, for example. He's not going to, or she's not going to take 1 million items because they can't afford it. But the customer that is going to take 1 million items can afford it. But the customer who's taking 10 knows that as their business grows, they can buy more and more and more from you, and then they will eventually also get the discount. So it's a matter of being transparent and saying that the more you buy, obviously you will then get a discount. But make sure that all your customers know that. So it's not that you secretly telling somebody something and you're not telling the other one. Okay. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Now let's talk about empathy, which is basically what today is all about, is the empathy and why it is so important in business. And empathy is a human emotion. Empathy is something that you cannot teach a robot to do. And it's something which is within you. And you look at it from the point of view is that you're watching people's behavior. You're watching their expressions. So for instance, here I am as the speaker here today, and I'm trying to use my hands and I'm using my facial expressions because I'm not sitting near you, so you can't really see my body language. But I'm trying to make myself appear approachable to you. So why is empathy important? It's because it's what people can see, as in you can see my face. It is also what people can feel. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be sitting across the table from them. I am sitting here in South Africa. There's people from India, Nigeria, Ghana, all over the world. And we can develop a communicable relationship via this wonderful thing called the internet, by being able to interact with one another, because it's what we can see. So if I sat here going, you would immediately get an impression of me that I'm not very friendly. But I'm trying to show you my enthusiasm, my want to make you feel that you are cared for, that I am very, very grateful that you are here so that we can interact. A smile, hand reactions, but I always talk with my hands. So that's always the thing. So what you can't see is what is going on in my background, in my life. Maybe there's something in your background, in your life right now that is really working in your head and causing emotions in you that I can't see. And that is why empathy is so important, is because we have to acknowledge that what you are seeing here in my face is not necessarily what I'm feeling at the moment. And the same goes with your staff. The same goes with your customers. The same goes with your service providers. If we think about, let's say, the war between Russia and Ukraine right now, there must be so much trauma going on in people's lives. And perhaps you have a customer who is based in Russia or who is based in the Ukraine. They need the product or the service that you are offering. They are wanting that service or that product, but there may be something that is holding them back. And you are not going to be able to understand why they're not doing business with you when they've always been a customer. And that is where you, as the business, as the entrepreneur, need to develop your empathy skills and become approachable to your customer. If I think here in South Africa, we've had quite a lot of trauma over the last 3 years. We've all had COVID. Last year in July, we had riots and destruction in our country. This year, we've had floods. So your customers might be in a situation where they need your product or they need your service, but they're not coming forward. And you need to be in a situation as an entrepreneur where you open up the communication, you open up the conversation, and you say, hi, let's just use the name Sharon. Hi, Sharon, I haven't heard from you for a while. Are you okay? Just the fact that you have taken time to care. Sharon will say, sure, thank you so much. OP for chatting and opening communications. No, life has really been bad. My house got washed away in the floods. I haven't forgotten about you. I know you and I spoke about that contract, but just give me a little bit of time. And you are then able to respond and say, oh no, you know, what happened? And give them an opportunity to chat about their experience with that flood, how they felt when that house got washed away. It may not buy you business now. It may not get you that contract now, but in 2 to 3 years' time, that customer will remember how much you cared, and they will come back to you rather than going to somebody else, because you cared, you listened, you showed them that you had a personal side. You're not just a call center where please press 1 if you would like to get through to this person, please press 2. If you have a customer or a service provider or a staff member that suddenly has gone quiet, get hold of them. Say to them, are you okay? If you think back to the whole thing with COVID, how many people have suffered emotional trauma purely because of the situations that they found themselves in? And no, you are not a psychologist, and no, you're not a therapist. Maybe you are, maybe, but most of us in entrepreneurship business, we are selling a product or a service. We are not necessarily there to offer psychological services, but just the fact that you have cared and said to somebody, how are you? You might have spoken to a client 2 weeks ago, and perhaps their child was ill. Pick up the phone, or WhatsApp makes it so easy nowadays, the way we chat on WhatsApp or any of these quick chat groups, and just say, hi Sharon, how's your son? Is he better? That could change the way in which a person is feeling that day. Or you have a staff member who lost a sibling or lost a mom or a dad. Just stop in the corridor and have a chat with them, or sit down in the kitchen and have a conversation with them. Make the people that you interact with feel like you care. And it's not just a matter of, hi, how are you? Oh, that's nice. And off you go. Stop and actually listen. And just the next slide that I have here is, for me, very, very thought-provoking. There is a man who's got his hand in his pocket. He's going to give the beggar some money, and the beggar has a mirror. And the person who's got his hand in his pocket to give the beggar money is looking at his own reflection. The beggar is making the man with his hand in his pocket realize who the beggar is. So we're not asking the man with his hand in his pocket to sympathize with the beggar. We are not asking him to feel sorry for the beggar or pity because the beggar has now in a misfortunate circumstance. What we are trying to say is the man with his hand in his pocket must focus on the other person's perspective. Why is that beggar begging in the streets? What has happened in his life where he's now landed up in that situation where his clothing is worn out and he's having to beg? And it's not about saying to people, well, tell me your story. It's about empathizing with them and listening to their side of the story. If you've ever had an opportunity to speak to a beggar and listen to their stories, quite often you will be surprised at who they are. I've spoken to people who are medical doctors, who are professors, who've landed up begging on the streets, and their stories are profound. And just the fact that you have taken time to listen, I don't say that you must listen to every single beggar on the street. What I'm saying is when you come across somebody, so this is just an example, when you come across somebody whose life is different to yours, listen to them, because there's always a lesson to be learned. There's always a business idea waiting to germinate because you've had that conversation with a person. So when you're speaking to people and you're thinking, sure, I don't know about this person, listen carefully. because there may be a business idea there. There may be something that sparks a product that you could create or a service that you could offer. And at the same time, you have listened to somebody and made them feel special. So it doesn't have to be the beggar in the street. It can be your customer. It can be your staff member. It can be the person who drives your service van. It can be the lady who does your photocopying. It can be anybody. So again, I'm asking you, who has a story they would like to share with us where they learned something or they created something by listening to somebody else who was maybe less fortunate or who was going through a crisis? The floor is open. Give us your experiences. Nobody want to offer a personal opinion?
Can I offer a little accompanying anecdote?
Yes, please do, John.
A picture that to me described empathy very well was a tree shedding its leaves in autumn. But in the tree was a bird, and as the tree shed its leaves, the bird shed its feathers. So that was an empathetic act that was on a picture in our training room.
Yep. Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not about being sympathetic. It's not about being sorry for somebody. It's about being able to step into their shoes and understand what they are feeling. And empathy will definitely help you retain your staff. So if you have a staff complement, whether it's one staff member, whether it's 5,000 staff, if your staff feel that you care about them, they will stay. And sometimes staff members will be loyal enough not to leave you for what is perceived as a higher salary because they know that you care about them. And perhaps that extra 100 Rand or that $100 that they are being offered to move jobs, and they go, that other boss doesn't care about their staff like my boss cares. Customers will be loyal to your brand because you care about them. And in today's world where the internet has taken over and there's all these call centers and you can't speak to a human being, it's very, very annoying for customers. Yes, there's a place for call centers, but when a person says, I need to speak to somebody, allow them to speak to that person. And small businesses definitely have the advantage over big business. Small business can build reputation so much quicker than a big business. A big business has to spend millions building a reputation, and it can be destroyed in one product. So empathy allows you as a business person, as an entrepreneur, to keep your staff because your staff feel cared for. You can drive innovation because you can listen to your staff member, no matter how crazy the idea is. How many crazy ideas have created multi-billion corporations? And it started off as a little seed and a little germination of somebody's crazy idea. And it also builds relationships. It means that you care, and use that four-letter word, care. You care about the people that you work with. You care about your staff. You care about your customers. You care about your service providers. And in that, you can detect and understand other people's feelings. Everybody has a bad day. We all do. It's just what happens. And just to stop and say to somebody, oh, what's wrong? You're like staring off into space today. What's wrong? And they just say, oh, it was just unreal this morning catching the train. The train was late and I got to work late and my whole day's been topsy-turvy. But you've allowed a person to express their feelings. It might have taken 10 minutes out of your day, but you've given that person the feeling that somebody has been able to relate to how they're feeling. And it's not about giving your side of the story. So for example, let's take an example of somebody who has recently lost a loved one. and you say to them, I'm really sorry, and you offer them a tissue, and then you launch into this whole story about your own losses that you've had. That's not empathy. That's sympathy. It's not empathy. Empathy is listening to the person who is feeling down or feeling sad at that moment in time. So it's moving beyond just the customer centric. It's driving your business success. And how do you drive your business success? You drive your business success because you care about the people with whom you work. And it's not just about your customers. It's about your whole business. And remember, it's also caring about yourself. So view the situation from your customers' point of view, from your service provider's point of view, from your staff members' point of view. What are you offering to your customer that you think that they need? Maybe you should stop and look at what your customers actually want. And you're only going to find that out by listening to your customer, putting yourself in your customer's shoes. Any comments on that? Anybody disagree with me? Anybody agree? Anybody want to add
Ali.
something to that? Yes.
Ali, can you hear me?
Yes.
It's Tilly. It's Tilly Governor.
Hello, Tilly.
Yes, I just want to add to some of the very pertinent points you made with regard to empathy. And maybe, for the people that are listening, I think the best way I try to actually practice empathy, I used to be a teacher many, many years ago, before I became a lawyer, many other things after that. But I read a book, and it was, this little character, it was, To Kill a Mockingbird. And this little saying really sticks out to me. In order for you to show empathy, because empathy is basically understanding. And in order for us to show understanding, we really need to get into the shoes. You mentioned that, get into the shoes of someone else. But I want you to add something to it, where I want to say you need to get into someone's shoes and walk around in it.
Yes.
In order for you to feel the feelings, in order for you to show the understanding. And as we said, it's not sympathy, it's understanding. And that's
Absolutely.
what I normally do. Even if I just have to spend a few seconds imagining what this person must be feeling, what this person must be experiencing. And put yourself in there, use your imaginative skills, because we've got imaginative skills to vision our own future. And because our staff and our customers are centric to our business, we need to get into their shoes and understand what they're going. And I just want to say this because I think that's where the difference in terms of leadership is. We get empathetic leadership, and that's where it comes from. Unfortunately, our past has been very, focused on, get the job done, performance, focus on people that are performing, that are bringing the money, etc. But sometimes just showing a little understanding can go such a long way. I want to give you an example of where in the KZN time, where, when the looting, etc. took place, and some businesses were totally out of action, but they took the initiative, of phoning their customers and explaining to the customers that, give me a certain amount of time, I'll come. And some customers, on the other hand, phoned their suppliers, etc., and say, how can we help? What are you going through? You know what? I'm going to give you another 6 months, 12 months. When you're back on track, call me again. We're happy to be on your database. So
absolutely.
That's what I just wanted to add with regard to empathy.
And what you're saying, Tilly, is so very important. And those customers and those businesses, they had built relationships. And how had those relationships been built? They had been built on manners, on etiquette, on empathy. So those relationships, that loyalty, were built on an emotion rather than a physical product. And empathy is an intangible asset to your business. Your receptionist, your salespeople, the lady who sweeps the floors, they are all intangible assets to your business because of the way in which they approach their job. So it's very important as the entrepreneur, as the leader, as the manager, to make sure that you identify in every single person something that is special, because they will feel special and they will be loyal to you in return. And loyalty means a successful business. So thank you, Tilly, for that. Anybody else want to add something? Okay. All right, the next one also builds on the whole empathy, and that's tolerance. Tolerance for the fact that we're all different. Tolerance is about accepting those differences. It's about understanding people's viewpoints. It's about allowing people to put forward ideas that maybe are completely contrary to yours. And it's about listening to those other people. And again, it goes back to that 4-letter word, care. You are, for example, in this picture, there's a cat and a dog, and they're both very, very different, completely different. And yet they are managing to work together. The dog is feeling cared for because the kitten is there. The kitten is feeling cared for because the dog is there. And in human life, we can also do the same. We can embrace those differences and be tolerant to one another. And through tolerance, you can build your business, because you are able to tolerate the fact that there's a wide variety of customers. Why do you have to think about your customers in this narrow little avenue? These are my customers. No, they're not. The whole world is your customer. Allow yourself to tolerate the differences. So you might have customers who say, that product that you've got is really nice, but can you just change it? Because if you change it this way, then it would be useful to me. And listen to that customer, because maybe there's a whole new avenue that is opening up for you where you could adapt your product so that your customer base is not just narrow, but your customer base broadens. So be tolerant to the ideas that people put forward to you and ask for ideas. There's nothing better than asking somebody, what do you think? And even if they give you this barrage and it goes on and on and on, at the end of it, synthesize everything they've said. And then what have they offered you? They've offered you maybe a new idea. They've maybe offered you a new perspective on the service or the product that you are looking at. So in that way, by being tolerant with people, you could very well expand your business into something that you hadn't thought of before. Then networking. Now, networking is something that I just love. I just love being with people. I love listening to people. I love meeting new people, hearing new ideas. And it's not just about what you can get out of that networking. It's about how you can help somebody else. And in that networking, it's a matter of selling other businesses as much as you sell yourself. Because you as an entrepreneur cannot offer everything to every single customer. You might, again, let's use the restaurant environment. You might be in a restaurant that particularly does cuisine in, let's say, a European type of menu. And when you meet somebody at a networking event and they say, oh, that they really like the cuisine from Africa, and you go, no, that's terrible. You must come to mine. No, in that environment of networking, say to them, oh, I know of an awesome African restaurant that offers African type foods. And then they'll say, oh, but what do you do? And there's your opportunity to open the door to a potential new customer, not today, not tomorrow, but maybe next month. So in those networking environments, listen to what other people are saying. Take in that information, and you can always use it again. You might meet them again 3 months, 3 years down the line. And you say, oh, I remember you were looking for an African restaurant. How did you enjoy it? Did you find that restaurant? And they go, wow, you remembered. So in these networking events, it's not just about you and the business that you offer. It's also about what you can do for your fellow associates and your fellow businesses. There's a piece of cake for all of us. You've just got to make sure that your piece of cake is phenomenal. And your piece of cake includes empathy, because you have listened to your potential client, whether it's potential now or whether it's going to happen in the future. And then the next item. I've done so much talking, and now I'm thinking to myself, I'm saying, you need to listen. Yes, you do. The people that have offered their opinions and their insights on this conversation, it's been recorded. And yes, I'll go back and I'll listen to the recording, and I'll take some information from there, because perhaps in my next presentation or at the next conference that I speak at, I'm going to be able to use what somebody said in today's conversation. And I'm going to say, you know, when I did this about soft skills, there was a gentleman, Ope Brady, and he came up with a question, and I just like to use that question. So again, being a listener means that you are able to take that knowledge, that information that you've got from other people. Tilly made a comment about empathy, and John spoke about a tree. That has gone in here. And somewhere I'm going to use that information again to offer a skill, or to offer encouragement, or to be able to listen to somebody next time I come up against a topic about a customer, about a product, about an entrepreneur. So those are the skills which entrepreneurs can use to successfully brand their business, to successfully use the reputation of their business. It might not turn into a sale now, but it might turn into a sale tomorrow, or the next day, or the next month. So all of these together, the manners, the networking, being a listener, being tolerant, the ethics, all of them come together with that central theme of empathy. Because if you can't feel somebody else's emotions or somebody else's situation, you are not going to be able to offer a product or a service that helps them. And remember, it's not about telling people what your product is. It's about solving a problem for them. So in today's world, customers don't want to know what you sell or what you produce or what you do. What they want to know is, what problem are you going to solve for me? And you can only solve that customer's problem if you have empathy. That is in the way in which business is moving today. With the fast internet world, people need problems solved now, not tomorrow or next month. They need it solved now. So how do you solve your customers' problems? You can't unless you actually empathize with them and feel what their need is, feel what their problem is. So just in closing, as a leader, you need to bring out the best in others, even when they know more than you do. As a manager, as a leader, as an entrepreneur, it doesn't matter what your role in life is, mum, dad, husband, wife, whatever, you can never know more than everybody else. You need to listen and be able to accept what other people say and learn from them. So we go back to the very beginning, where we look at all of these soft skills with empathy, holding them all together and making that pencil whole. Thank you for listening to me. I really do appreciate your listening. And now the floor is open for your conversation, for your comments. Tandazani, yes, go ahead.
Ali.
Hello.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tandazani. Actually, that is so short. I feel like it is so short. It's so great. So I was still enjoying to listen to you. And then you said, this is it. I was like, oh no. Thank you so much, Ali, for taking your time and teaching us so much important soft skills. I think they like, we don't really notice how big they are up until you hear people talking about it and teaching us about it. And we really appreciate all the information you've shared with us. And yeah, we're definitely going to apply them. And thank you so much. We look forward to more conversations like this.
Thank you, Thandazani. And well, I thank you for saying that, because we've been going for nearly an hour. I was very conscious of the one-way conversation, but thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Nompilo.
Hi, Ali. Thank you so much for this information. You know, as I'm listening to you, it's like you are preaching the way you are, because that's what you're always doing to people. Like, you pay attention to the little things and you care about everybody. I don't know how you do it. Can you please just share maybe on how you being intentional about loving people and about caring about people and less about yourself? Can you just share briefly on how you do it?
Nompilo, thank you very much. For me, I enjoy interacting with people and understanding what they do, listening to their ideas. You know, I'm that person who stands in the queue at the checkout and turns around and said, "Hi, how are you?" That's me. COVID kind of like made me double think that, but that's the kind of person I am. I will go into a place and I will say, "Hi, I'm Ellie. Who are you? What do you do? And what makes the world tick for you?" That is me. And I've met some very interesting people. And through those interactions, I've made some incredible friends. And over the 17 years that I have run Women in Business, there are people that have come into my life and then disappeared. And much later, they've come back again. So it's not about a special recipe. It's just about the fact that life is interesting, and everybody has a story, and those stories need to be told. Thank you, Nompilo. Thandazani, is your hand still up, or is that an old hand? We shouldn't be saying old
sorry,
hand.
it's an old hand.
It's a history hand. Any other comments or anything anybody would like to add? Yes, hi. Sorry, I really am not going to try and say your name. If you wouldn't mind saying it so that we can learn something from you.
You can call me Mahesh. It's a Maheshwar.
Maheshwar, thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Alison, for bringing this a wonderful topic. It's an eye-opener. Every entrepreneur has to come across all these topics in their daily life, in the business life. And these are very minute, but it makes difference a lot there in business. So in a nutshell, I can say that listening to the opposite person, respecting their time, respecting the individual, and respecting their business. Can I say that?
Absolutely, absolutely, indeed. And it's about being honest about it. Like now, I was a little bit embarrassed because I didn't know how to pronounce your name, and it's about me saying, "I'm sorry, I don't know. Please help me." And there's nothing to be embarrassed about that, because it enables me then to repeat the name after you said it, and hopefully I get it right, because I've learned from you. I've learned a new name. So thank you for your comments.
Ellie, I just want to add some interesting facts that I've learned recently. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so for the benefit of everyone else, you know, I'm very much into scarce and critical skills, and what I've found in both in the corporate world, in the working world, in the real world, that there's too much of emphasis on hard skills and less emphasis on soft skills. And interestingly enough, I want to share a survey that I came across, and I was just flabbergasted in terms of the results. There were 200 recruiters and 200 managers that were surveyed, and they were asked this very important question. And the question was, which do you think is more important, hard skills or soft skills? And the result was that 61% of them said it was soft skills, and only 39 said it was hard skills.
Wow.
So the next question was, which are the top 5 soft skills? And this is what came up. First and foremost was teamwork. Teamwork, right? Remember, you need to have empathy in, and all the things that you spoke about, tolerance, every little soft skill that you spoke about today embodies part of teamwork. The second one was communication, right? The third one was time management. The fourth one was decision making, and the fifth one was leadership.
Yep. It's so true, Tilly. And thank you for sharing those stats. And I think the world has woke up to that very abruptly when COVID hit us, because no matter what your hard skills were, to cope during that hard lockdown, you had to have those soft skills. Otherwise, your business, you would not have been able, like you said earlier on, where customers and businesses had that relationship. Though it doesn't matter about the hard skills. That's what counted, was those soft skills. So thank you for sharing that stats with us. Very interesting. And it's good to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Catherine, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you very much, Alison. It has been interesting, and I like the focus on manners and etiquette. It set me thinking on how fluid manners is today. If you compare different age groups, what people consider as manners in different age groups, and I think somebody else mentioned religions, culture, then manners sort of like it's in our spectrum. What is good manners, what is not. So I don't know whether given today's developments, we need to redefine what is good manners. Looking at also the gender relations, what men considered as good manners may not be termed as good manners today in the business environment. So it's getting a bit fluid. And so redefining manners as much as it is important in business environment is becoming key.
Absolutely. You are so 100% correct. And again, that goes back to, earlier on conversation where do your research, do your background. If your customers are coming from a international environment, who are you dealing with? Are you dealing with Europeans? Are you dealing with Asians? Are you dealing with Africans? Who are you dealing with? And each person or each group within has their own culture of etiquette and behavior and manners. So it does require a certain amount of research, and for you to be open to understanding somebody else's ideal of manners versus your own. And if your business is an international business, you have to be tolerant of manners that are perhaps different to yours, and accepting. You just have to.
Ali?
So thank you for that, Catherine.
Ali?
You.
John here.
Yes, John.
Could I just add something? I've done quite a bit of training and surveys that I've done. How do you like to be led, and how do you like to be treated? How do you like to be treated by your leader? And I just want to go back to the last speaker talking about manners. And to me, it incorporates manners and tolerance and something. So it was a United Nations team, the United Nations Women's Guild, a group of entrepreneurs and something, but the top of the tree, the one word for all of them said, treat me with respect, right? And it was respect. And to me, your manners, your tolerance and everything ends up with respect. One of the biggest things I did with these surveys was I said, how do you like to be treated? And respect came out first in just about every case. And then when I asked the question, are you getting it? And that was an eye-opener. About 20% said, yes, we're getting it, right? Just wanted to add that, because to me, that respect, it encompasses tolerance, it encompasses good manners. You respect me, you'll be mannerful to me. You respect me, you'll be tolerant to me. And one word, and to me, I still see it today, very little respect in places, but that's what people want.
Absolutely. 100%, John. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you, everybody. Averia, over to you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending today. Sorry for the last week, but it seems the problem was international. But I think we were lucky to have Ali today, and everything was good. And we enjoyed the conversation, and we have a full house. So we will add the recording on Ecom Connect as usual. So feel free to watch again the session or to share with your colleagues, with your friends, because I'm sure everyone will benefit from it, like we did today. And thank you, Ali. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your positive energy and for all the tips, because sometimes the small things make the big difference in our life and in our business. So thank you, and we hope to see you again.
Yes, thank you. As much as I've retired, it doesn't mean to say I'm disappearing, but yes, I will be around. So thank you very much. And to everybody who made the time to come today, I know everyone's schedules are very busy, and for your tolerance for the international mess that we had last time with the connectivity. Thank you for all that, and for being here and for your support. It's wonderful to see all these names, and I'm just reading the chat to see where everyone's coming from. So thank you so much. And I will share my slides. I know that there is a Telegram group. I will share my slides on the Telegram group if anybody would like them.
Thank you, Ali. That would be great. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and have a nice evening, everyone.
We've just gone into load shedding, so it was very well timed.